Hello, my name's Nick, and this is a For Odin playthrough of Europa Universalis 4. For those who missed the first video, and perhaps I don't blame you, it was just the setup, what this game is we have made a tiny little custom nation in this 111 province of Reykjavik, and it's Norse, and we are going to try to get these three achievements. So we made a custom nation which had no more than 50 points, so we had 50 points exactly. We made a nation which had no more than 3 total development at the start, hence our Reykjavik single province. And we are going to then attempt to own and core all of Scandinavia and the British Isles and convert it to the Norse faith. We're also going to be trying to have at least 2,000 total development by the end of the game, which hopefully should be pretty easy, and have a monthly income of 500 ducats. I'm not sure how easy that will be. I don't think any playthrough of the game I've ever played has had that. But we will see. Like, if I actually prioritize making money, then we can do that. Other playthroughs I've played have mostly been about more military achievements, and I haven't prioritized my economy. I've only made enough money to support my massive army, which then kills people, rather than making money for the sake of making money. Because I'm kind of the opinion that money is only useful for what it does. It's not useful as an end in and of itself. But anyway, our nation of fury, these Norwegian cod fishermen, plan to escape Europe and flee across the sea and settle upon new lands in new territories. Turns out that there are 2 tribes which have already made the sea journey hundreds or perhaps thousands of years ago, the lost Serbians and lost Bosnians. They are both high American tech group, which means that they have the same tech costs as Europeans, and thus will probably keep up in tech with me. But they, because they're high American, they have Native American style units, which as the game goes on longer will become increasingly bad compared to mine. So somehow, despite the fact we will flee Europe, we'll actually abandon Reykjavik. We will keep in touch with European military traditions and be well aware of such things as tercio pikemen and things like that. Anyway, what are we going to do? Start this game. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of my army. The only person that could possibly fight right now is Norway, and they could beat me because they're the junior partner in a personal union with Denmark. And Denmark and Norway are not going to invade me at any point. If they did invade me, I would just automatically lose. So I may as well get rid of my army. And I'm going to put my cogs into mothball because I might actually want to keep my cogs. Because eventually I'll gonna have to sell an army from this province to somewhere else. Well, this island to somewhere else. So my cogs might actually turn out to be useful after all. Though I could just destroy them and rebuild them later. It just, ships take a long time to build, and they're pretty cheap if you mothball them anyway. So we're going to protect trade in the North Sea. We are going to choose a deity. We are probably going to choose Njord because The trade efficiency will probably give us more money than the tax modifier of Freya would, and money is what we need right now because we need to fund the colonization efforts in the New World, and sadly, COD is not really the best way of funding that. And no one's going to, in fact, if we look at our thing, see, we can only take a 1 ducat loan. The bankers in Europe evidently do not rate highly our COD economy. So, in all likelihood though, we're actually going to settle somewhere in these Arctic provinces and we're going to find more cod there, so I hope people like eating fish. Though, if we're lucky, we might get some furs. Furs obviously better. Naval good's the worst. And Norwegian wood, or is that the achievement of getting every naval good province in the world, is something I will never do. And I think it may be impossible at the state of the game now because they've removed so many exploits that would have allowed world conquest of that nature. What am I going to do with my diplomats? I'm going to send a diplomat to Norway, even though Norway would invade me anyway if it got freedom from Denmark, so that diplomat isn't really doing anything, but maybe we can keep them green and nice, and that might decrease the likelihood should Norway actually get freedom from Denmark. We just need to buy ourselves enough time that we don't get trounced. Now, we could also befriend Denmark, but maybe Scotland is a wiser thing. Scotland has this habit of, well, it wants all of Norway's islands here, and as soon as it gets the Faroes, it then sometimes decides it wants Iceland. So it would be several wars before they got there, but still. Also, Scotland is a country which may be actually more inclined to be actual friends and allies with us, because they're going to be attacked by England a lot and will want friends, and we aren't standing in their way, so that could be that. So we've sent our diplomats out, and now all there is to do is unpause. So I skipped ahead a few months just to get to the next point of actual interesting gameplay, and that is that we are going to boost our stability. I know, like really daring, risky play there. Fully understandable and to be expected. But the actual interesting thing is that Norse has some great decisions that just require a stability of 1. These will be useful for the entire game. They're not actually useful right now, but we may as well just take them as soon as possible. The additional prestige, this 1 prestige per year, is actually going to increase our, I guess, neutral or base prestige to 20. So that will mean that our prestige, when it goes above 20, will decay down to 20 naturally over time, and prestige, when it's below 20, will decay upwards to 20 over time. So that's our new equilibrium point. And prestige is actually pretty useful for a tiny country such as ourselves, because it gives us trade power and also gives us a few other bonuses that normally I would ignore, but can give that slight edge which you need when you're a tiny little country trying to snowball to bighood. Something I neglected to do immediately, apart from actually allocate my merchant, which eagle-eyed people may have noticed, was that I didn't allocate my national focus. Now, the reason why we're doing this is because we actually need admin points at the start to rush, well, semi-rush to admin tech 5 so that we can get our idea. But after that, diplomatic points will be utilized in like putting as many exploration ideas in as possible, and being ahead on diplomatic tech if we have more points. So like diplomatic points certainly won't go to waste, but for the next 2 decades or so, admin points will be very useful. Our military is going to be falling behind significantly. However, we aren't going to be doing any fighting for quite some time. So either our heir, or either a new heir after our current heir is dead, or the heir of our heir will hopefully have some good or middling military stat. But otherwise we're not really going to be using our military points for anything else, so we may be able to sort of keep up with Miltech. And there, you do seem to drown in sword points, except when you have rebellions to suppress and then you don't have enough sword points. So it's either a drought or a flood, really, in my experience. Currently it seems, looking at the trade, that we have, oh, I'll just pause it. There are 2 unknown trade nodes here that fed into this Warpet trade node, and that then goes to the North Sea and English Channel, and 2 things I don't know about that. Okay, that's interesting. That means that we then feed into 2 other nodes. Last time I played, I had this really great situation actually, where there was trade node here, a trade node down here, and another trade node there, and kind of a trade node in the middle here, and all of them fed into this one trade node up here. Actually, it's probably like, wow, I can't see Asia, but this one trade node, which was roughly in the position Alaska would be, and that one trade node, the only place it went to was the Philippines. So I was able to control all of the New World trade and funnel it all into my coffers. I in fact colonized every single province in that upper trade node, and colonized every province that would be in trade range of that trade node at the time. And there was no way that any European could send their trade fleet there and protect trade and get a slice of the pie. I just owned it all, and that actually gave me over 50% of my income was just from that trade, at least at that point. Though I expected as the game went on that I would be getting more tax and and more production income. But that actually then forced me to invade Native American tribes so that they'd stop hogging their spices and actually just send them north to Alaska. We may end up doing that again. This whole trade node situation could turn out to be rather interesting, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now, as we approach the point where we reach our diplomatic power cap, we find that faced with this decision: do we let the cap run over and just use all the points when we finally get our idea group, which is going to be in October 1457, or do we instead spend it on tech? Now, the amount of points that we will save by waiting later and taking up later is insignificant compared to the amount of points that we're going to lose from running the cap over, which is probably going to, it's in the realm of about 250-ish diplo points. But on the other hand, don't really need those diplo, like we're not going to be in a rush to get those diplo points back, as it's all about what can those diplo points do for us right now. And right now what we need them for is that idea, those ideas. So the way to get those 3 ideas as soon as possible is to just let the cap run over and not worry about min-maxing and optimizing and getting maximum possible use out of our diplo power points. What we are getting maximum possible, like we're getting the optimal use out of our diplo power points. We're not using every diplo power point that we receive, because that's suboptimal. Now, we finally can unlock admin 5. So that's a combination of someone actually researching it. We can actually see who that is. Not France. There. Little Mantua. We have Mantua to thank for this. And also we got a lucky event that gave us 40 extra admin, which would have made it so that we could get the tech in May, but March has happened because of this. So we're going to take that, and now we choose exploration. Get our colonial ventures and quest for the new world, and soon, in roughly 2 years, 2 and a bit years, we will have enough to get our colonial range, which will then springboard us forth. Just double check, we can't, no, we cannot settle anywhere. Now, native policies. Right now, we don't have a military, so this native coexistence policy with no native uprising chance is what we're going to choose. But anyway, we're going to coexist with the native peoples. Let's find out what these native peoples are. They're Salish. Ah, yes. Okay. So the Salish tribes, and strangely these islands have completely different cultures, and that's kind of cool. These cultures which are, oh, interestingly, there's a culture on that island and that island, the same culture. So they must like being on lonely islands, or perhaps once there was a great empire of Penutians, 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 whatever, and later on the Salish rose up, perhaps, and then the random Serbs. Oh, so Lost Bosnia is Serbian as well? That is not what I would have thought Bosnia would be, but paradox in their wisdom. There is no Bosnian culture, there is only Croatian and Serbian and Albanian. So, okay, the lost Bosnians and the lost Serbians are the same. Do they even have an alliance? I would have thought they would ally with each other, but no, they hate each other. Of course they do. And now our glorious colonial effort comes to pass. So we have our colonial range, which allows us to settle these provinces. Now, firstly, that is a better province than the other options. Like 6 seems to be the best option. It also will give us the highest likelihood of getting to there, and also probably there are some provinces down here which this would help with, but it's right next to Lost Bosnia, and they might invade us, maybe, which would be bad. But I think we're actually going to settle here anyway. We might actually build up that army, rebuild our army, with the gold that we've saved by not having an army. Let's be audacious. Now, rather stupidly, I have remembered too late that I would get a mission. Oh, they have changed the colonize missions. That makes them a lot less exploitable. It used to be that you could just send a settler, make a colony, abandon that colony, and have completed the mission, and thus get this bonus. And that bonus is like a really good bonus to get. But we're going to take that mission anyway and colonize that next, I guess. So, if we just consult, as I mentioned earlier, like colonial maintenance, sometimes it's more optimal to be at 50%. Currently we get 15 a year, so if we just compare here, if we put the global settler increase as, actually it's 20, but yeah, but 15 is actually what's going on there. We see in both cases that at 20% colonist chance, it is optimal to keep it at 50% colonial maintenance. Essentially that means that you are spending this much gold. That can't be quite right. Actually, you're spending twice that much gold. Twice that much gold. Oh no, at 50% you're spending that much gold, and at 100% we're spending that much. So yeah, at 50% you are spending that much gold just for the 20% colonist chance. So that's 20% chance of getting 25 extra settlers. That's kind of that's on average 5 settlers per month. Those 5 settlers for that much gold is worth more than increasing that amount of gold for 2 settlers per 5%. It's not worth it, in other words. And it won't be worth it until, for instance, if we had 80 global settler increase, we can see a much more interesting graph here, where anything below 26% colonist chance, it's always going to be better to spend 100% colonial maintenance, because then your major source of settlers is from this global settler increase, and then 27 and higher, and the percentage chance, like the roll of the dice, is going to, on average, be giving you more settlers than the settler increase per increment is going to be giving you. So essentially after that you just go all in on what you go 50%, and just rely on the luck of the dice. It even gets to the point here where you're actually kind of losing efficiency significantly by putting it at 100%. But we're not interested in optimal spending of our money. We are interested in getting our colony up and running as soon as possible, because the advantage that we'll get from that colony, the increased profitability of our duchy, and the increased capability that we'll get from that colony. We want that colony as soon as possible. We want our Norse people living there as soon as possible. And so we're going to rush that colony and keep on befriending Norwegian and Scottish people. Who needs befriending? I think we'll befriend Denmark. They've slipped too much. Anyway, I might skip forward a bit to when this colony is completed, and maybe even that colony completed. We might do a bit of exploration next time and actually see what there is to do. Anyway, until then, enjoy doing whatever you do on the internet.